the state of Maharashtra. This is the second state in India which is resuming film shoots after Tamil Nadu. And let's talk to Sanjay Gupta about this. He already had a film that was under production. We're talking about Mumbai Saga. And certainly it's turning out to be a saga, but 90% of that film had been shot. Only 10% remains. Sanjay, it's good to have you with us on ET now. Tell us about the feeling now that the restrictions on shooting in the state have been raised.
Well, it's not entirely true that, restrictions, in the sense that the restrictions have been put, they haven't been removed. We are allowed to shoot, but there are a lot of restrictions that have come into play. But yet, having, I'm very grateful to the government for what they've done. But still, I think we're a long way off from any form of normalcy where our shoots are concerned. I'll give you one simple example. Most of the people in Bombay, especially the buildings and societies and colonies, are self-regulating, right? So they don't let anybody leave. They don't let outsiders come in. So if a shoot is happening, the same thing was there when they said they were opening post-production studios. But how will technicians come and go? On the roads, you still got cops stopping you and this and that. And the other thing is that there's so much uncertainty about the coronavirus. So you don't know who's coming from where, even if it's those 50 people. How many people are those 50 in contact with? So the only way I saw, and as the planning that my company is doing to complete our balanced work, is we are planning to go to Ramoji Rao Film City because they're completely contained. We've got work on 2 sets. So we'll put up those sets and we know the number of people. There's nobody coming from outside of those gates. And the people we take from here, the limited number of people. So at least there is a sense of security, which will not be Bombay when you've got people coming from different parts of the city. With all the precautions you take, you can't be 100% sure. So I don't know if the stars would be, or the senior technicians would be willing to risk.
Well, there are restrictions on how any kind of greeting takes place on the sets, and there are restrictions that are still applicable as far as the age limit is concerned. So 65 is the age limit over which stars, anyone on the set for that matter, cannot be there. So you're talking about Amitabh Bachchan, Anil Kapoor, Anupam Kher, the likes of whom cannot be reporting on set. Is that going to be problematic?
Well, it will be problematic for films that they feature in, which need to be completed. But, fortunately, unfortunately, whatever, we don't have any such, we don't need to shoot with people of that age. So, but yes, films with them, but I'm sure that they will work out certain permissions, and, if the doctors are giving a NOC and all of that. But I think the bigger point is, would they want to do it? When you know that you're beyond the age of 65, even beyond the age of 55, is unsafe, is considered unsafe. So I don't know. And see, the other thing is we are nowhere close to the peak in Bombay. So we're still looking at that. And there's a lot at play. Yes, I personally don't think that everybody's going to start jumping at, we'll be in a hurry to start shooting.
Well, it was the Producers Guild and a whole lot of bodies who had made presentations to the state government asking for these restrictions to be lifted, Sanjay. So clearly, a larger chunk of people who are getting affected by the lockdown, they wanted this resumption. So then, is there a dichotomy there?
No, not really. Look, what they did was prepare. What they did was get us ready so that, it doesn't come as a shock. They did what is their duty to let normalcy return as soon as possible. But there is only so much you can do. I'm not belittling what they've done. They've done a great job, the guild and the other associations. See, they've cleared the path and the restrictions are there. So for people that it was extremely urgent and the need to shoot, it may come as a godsend. But for others who can afford to wait and watch, will certainly wait and watch.
So which are the other restrictions? Because earlier when we were having an offline conversation, you also mentioned the lack of clarity in some of these restrictions like inter-district movement as well. So if you can walk us through what you think you need further clarity on as far as these restrictions that have been imposed for resumption of shoots.
Now, the center has said that yes, you can do interstate travel as well. Okay, the centers open that up. But the state has its own restrictions. I mean, I'm sitting here in Khandala and I'm not allowed to cross the toll and just go across even 10 kilometers or the other side. Or I'm not allowed to enter Bombay. There are 4 different checkpoints. So people from one district are not allowed to go into the other. So that has not yet opened. And there's a lot of restrictions still with the police and the CRPF and all these people on the roads telling people not to come out on roads. So it's not going to be comfortable. It's not going to be easy for people to just go from their homes to set and back. And like I said earlier, people are also doing a lot of self regulations. How to work out is, because here I know buildings of towers where the families have been inside their apartments. Only one person has been allowed to go down to the lobby or to the gate. So they've maintained such strong quarantine in those buildings. Will those building people allow their people to go in and out now regularly? Not knowing whatever the emergency. So this is something I'm saying. I'm just looking at it. There is a dichotomy in the overall scenario. Like you're trying to open one, but the other.
No, but what about the feasibility of the guidelines that have been put down? Do you think those are going to be easy to follow?
Yeah. Those, see, even before we stopped shooting, my crew especially, I was shooting till the 15th of March. I was supposed to shoot till the 18th, so we called off the last 3 days. But that entire schedule, we started shooting, which was around the 3rd of March. But we were shooting with a doctor on set. We were checking temperatures and we were doing all the due diligence that was required, including hand sanitizers everywhere and all of that. But again, a majority of the cases are asymptomatic. So what are those, thermometers going to tell us? More than 60%, in between there are more than 50% cases were asymptomatic. Earlier there was a number of 85% were asymptomatic. So that's what I said. I just feel that until you don't have an instant check, I'm not talking about the vaccine, but we need an instant check here.
So there is a certain risk element that is not going away for some time, Sanjay, whether we like it or not. Would you rather that we would have waited a little longer and made sure that we are that much safer and those restrictions are that much more clearer? Or because the losses were mounting and daily wage earners, they were having a very rough time. So is this a better scenario, or would you think that perhaps we should have waited?
Waiting or not waiting really doesn't make a difference. And unfortunately, the people who are going to suffer the most in this are the daily wage earners. You see, we've been told, okay, cut down your crew by 33%. Who am I going to reduce? I will reduce the number of squad boys, the lightmen, the carpenters. I will reduce the painters. I'll reduce the assistants, the ones who are done. So in any case, okay, I will shoot without fighters. I will shoot without junior artists. I'll shoot without dancers. These are all daily wage earners. So, in a sense, it's like a catch-22. Even if you're opening it up, it's not really helping so much.
Fair enough. So then what can we expect by way of being able to adapt yourself to the new normal, as it were, in the shooting of a film that was already done for the most part? 90% of Mumbai Saga had been shot. How different is it going to be trying to complete the film? Would you have to cut corners? Would you have to change the content, the nature of film shooting? All of which will have to be part of the game, not just for your project, but future ones as well. Isn't that right?
Absolutely. So see, the two major things that we had to shoot were these 2 songs. And usually in my films, I always keep the songs for the end. You get the film in hand so you can start all your post-production and all that. So both these songs, now we will have to redesign them. Because unfortunately, both the songs were on sets, one was a fancy bar set, dance bar set, and the other was a local liquor bar set, which had dancers, which had junior artists and everything. So now we have to do a major rethink and use a lot of VFX and stuff like that. And it is going to be difficult. It's not going to be easy. And we are this close to, we were supposed to release on the 19th of June. That was our release date, which we had announced. So whenever things open properly is when we'll have to take a bigger call of when we release the film.
Is that going to be the other big challenge that the industry has to brace for? Release dates and the piling up of these releases as well, because it's one thing to complete production. Post-production, I don't know how much of going to be a challenge with the kind of facilities, because there are restrictions on that as well. How much of both these aspects, post-production and release of films, will you have to contend with?
See, post-production is going on because we're sitting in our homes and doing it with the technology today. So my editor is working, my sound designer is working inside, and most of these guys have little studios that they built inside their own homes. So that work is going on. That doesn't really get affected. The background music is happening, and they just mail it to me, and I approve it and all of that. But on the release front is the big $1 million question, because see, there were 5 big films that were lined up which were to release. So there were Radhe, and there was Lakshmi Bomb, and there was Coolie number 1, was Suryavanshi 83 and Mumbai Saga. So it is 6 films. I'm presuming that even if theaters open, we'll still look at the big dates, maybe of 15th August, Dussehra, Diwali, Christmas, and 26th. So these films will come. But then the backlog is yet to be completed. Also, a lot of the mid-sector films have already been closed for direct-to-digital. So they're going straight to, but with these big films, with us, it's going to be a question, who releases first? Who's going to bell the cat? Who tests the water? Because even theaters will open with limited occupancy, and it's their own set of rules. So we don't know what kind of a hit we will take with our film business when we come to the theaters. So yes, I mean, that is the biggest economic question facing us, because that's where all the money is invested. A film like Mumbai Saga has got more than about 65 already invested into it. And the theatrical revenue is a major part of where we'll get our money back.
What about the stars? They have a lot at stake over here as well, Sanjay. What has been their attitude to returning to work? Like you said, that they would have concerns because they cannot afford to fall sick, right? A lot of projects depend on them. Do you think they are okay with the idea of returning with these guidelines?
At least my actors are. I've had a word with them. And mainly John and Imran. So they are pretty cool. They said, no, we have to complete the film. We'll take all the precautions and everything. But apart from that, going further, I don't know. See, we'll all have to make some strong choices now. Like, for example, my next film was supposed to be the 3rd out series. And I was busy scripting that. The film is not, it cannot be shot in Switzerland or some place like that. It's on the streets of Bombay. And when that will be open for shooting, anybody's guess. So what will happen is we filmmakers, as well as the stars, are looking at material which we can shoot in safer places, away from the cities. I think one of our ministers from the Maharashtra cabinet has been also advocating the use of a film city in Kolhapur, saying there's very little infection and you can take your crews there. And so yes, these destinations will be more what we producers will be looking for now.
Right. So content will change a whole lot to be able to adapt because like you said, you started writing the film. You had the milieu set as well, where it was set in was put down in that script that you've already written. So then will you have to adapt a whole lot? Will a lot of content change?
No, I will not have to. I will not be able to shoot that film. I'll have to postpone it and maybe do some other story, because at any given point of time, we work on different scripts and scenarios. So I'll have to pick up another story and make that in the meanwhile. See, that when I was talking to the other stars, the big stars, the discussion also was that, do you have a script which you can just go off to, say, a place like Abu Dhabi, for example, because it's a smaller country. It's just the population is just 1 crore, and they will get going much faster than we would, I guess. So yes, right. There are a lot of people within the business, the bigger stars also, who are looking at foreign destinations which are safer and more conducive. Like, for example, I just read today that New Zealand is completely clean. There's not a single case now. And I'm sure even New Zealand will have to start opening up its economy. They need the business to come in, and so will other countries like that.
You know, as a producer of a film, Sanjay, before I let you go, obviously there are certain revenues pre-COVID that you are used to. We were talking about 300 crore films. I was talking to our audiences about how 2019 actually was a good year for Hindi cinema. Now a lot is going to change on that count as well. So on an average, on a film of this size, of this budget, what's the kind of hit you are likely to take?
See, that's what I'm saying. We don't know the hit that we will take, okay? Because in our case, the theatrical revenue is not that big because we do pre-sales on digital, satellite, overseas audio, which is also a sizable amount of that. So it's not a very big number to really worry over. But when there is a film like, say, Suryavanshi, or there's a film like Radhe, for these films, yes, because those stars themselves take 100 crores upwards as fees. So there is a bigger, I feel they would have, we are still somewhere in between. So there's not that big a worry, but yes, there is a worry with revenues now, what will happen and whether that will result in stars taking a cut in their salaries or restructuring of deals. That is something we cannot, comment on now.
You worked with big stars, Sanjay, so aren't you going to convince them to take cuts considering this scenario?
No, we will talk to them. But you see, in my case, the film is already ready. Most of the payments have already been made. So there's not much we can do here. But going forward, now setting up of new films will depend on what is happening at the box office. And see,
Sure.
there is two sets of people. Yeah, there's one studio I'm working with, which believes is very, very pessimistic about theatrical run going from here on. The other studio I'm talking to is extremely optimistic, saying people are going to come back because they've just been starved. So we'll just have to wait and watch what really plays out.
Well, a lot of it seems like wait and watch, but for the moment, the resumption is kind of breathing fresh life into an industry that had gone into standstill mode. And I've been speaking to some other filmmakers as well, who are just relieved at the prospect of returning to the set.
No, all of us.
That's something that you share, considering that, yeah.
Also, the fact that we are the first industry to shut down and we'll be the last to open. Unfortunately, us in the hospitality business is that we were the first, and we'll be the last. When everything is back to normal as when there's okay, now you can start going back to theaters. So again, but there will also be a period of deliberation with the audience, where they are going to deliberate whether is it worth going to a theater. Do I really want to go out there and, so we will see that lull, definitely.
And how much of that is going to be a pain point for the industry as a whole? That is something that we can only speculate on at this moment, but we hope that everything ends well. But for the moment, I wish you great luck, Sanjay. Such a pleasure talking to you. Keep it safe and good luck with the remainder of the work that you have on Mumbai Saga. We're looking forward to that film too.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Always a pleasure talking to you.
Thanks very much. Bye.